France. This year the famous race began in Belgium, as did Wiggins' story itself. He was born in Ghent, the son of a cyclist. Wiggins' father Gary was an Australian pro, plying his trade in Europe.
Gary came over here in 1974. We were both riders race on the track, and we used to go to races together. He was a good rider, determined man. Gary was a bit heavier built than Bradley, a big, strong guy. Yeah, I think his mum quite liked cycling as well from an early age, because that's how she met Gary, was at Paddington Track. She was there standing around the edge, and obviously she must have caught Gary's eye, you know.
Gary's a good bike rider, good, you know, good Kermesse type rider, but, you know, very good on the boards, you know, and you know, rode the sixes, and, you know, used to come back to Australia and ride all the big Madisons and 6 days in Australia and everything else. But yeah, very handy bike rider. But, you know, like most of us, never in the class of Bradley.
He was about less than 2 weeks old when I first met him, held him in my arms. Yeah. I never imagined, I don't think any of us did at that point, you know, that we would be holding or looking at a future Tour de France winner.
He wants to win the prologue if he can, because it's a psychological slap in the face to everybody else. He's got a very aggressive, low-profile position there. I don't think in recent years I've ever seen anybody come out perfectly in their preparation for the Tour de France.
He was just 2 years old when his mother Linda moved back to London. Her marriage to Gary had fallen apart, but she didn't turn her back on the sport, and from a young age she successfully nurtured Wiggins' growing obsession with cycling.
You know, I was a big football fan as a kid, as most kids are. Grow up in London, council estates, not much else to do other than kick a ball around. But obviously I had this thing when my dad was a pro, so the cycling was there in the family, and that's where that spark started for me. And once I fell in love with the sport, that was it for me then. It was buying Cycling Weekly every Thursday, trawling through all the results in Europe, and that was the only way. You know, Eurosport didn't cover cycling when I was a kid. You didn't have Twitter, you didn't have the internet. So the only way was getting on W.H. Smith in Kilburn on a Thursday and picking up Cycling Weekly and looking at all these great photos, cutting them up and sticking them on my wall, and dreaming one day maybe that I could do that. That was what it was about, really, and that's what I fell in love with. Other kids had pictures of Gary Lineker and Paul Gascoigne and that, and I had Miguel Indurain and Johan Museo, and they were my, you know, heroes. So it was, I think there was one of Tony Dorr at some point. But they were my, they were my sporting heroes as a 11, 12-year-old, you know, and yeah, so that's what it was all about.